Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shifty's 49ers Talk. It's your boy Shifty. This one goes out to Niner fans, near, far, NFL fans, sports fans. You are all welcome here tonight. We are doing my first 2022 NFL mock draft. We're going to cover the first 10 picks, who they might take, and why they will take them. Let's talk about it. So, with the number one overall pick for the second year in a row, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, this pick is going to be a little bit hard to know what's going to happen because we actually don't even know the coaching staff of the Jaguars at this point in the recording of the video. However, with this pick, I'm going to go with maybe the safer option, but someone who is incredibly productive, someone who's going to be able to get after opposing quarterbacks. I'm going with Aiden Hutchinson, the edge out of Michigan. Last year, 14 sacks, 16 and a half tackles for loss. The guy is a monster. You pair him with Josh Allen in that defense, and I think you have a very, very disruptive duo who's going to get after the opposing quarterback, going to be able to maybe force some turnovers, force some sacks, give more possessions to Trevor Lawrence. You know, you have Lawrence, who's really now the face of the franchise on offense. Now you have Josh Allen and Aiden Hutchinson as the two big guys on defense at key positions. Aiden Hutchinson, number one. So, with the number 2 overall pick, the Detroit Lions, they are also, like the Jaguars, going to get a cornerstone for their defense. I'm going to go with the edge rusher from Oregon. That's Kayvon Thibodeaux, someone who in 30 career college games, 19 sacks, over 30 tackles for loss, someone who has just potential through the roof. I actually really do like this Lions defense in order to be able to coach up Thibodeaux. They did a great job when they got Charles Harris in free agency, who did nothing with Miami, who was a former first-round pick. I think they could do wonders for Thibodeaux, really maximize his potential, and could be an absolute superstar. You pair him with some other guys on that Lions defense, and now, look, you get the foundation for something pretty good in Detroit. They finished the season strong. Now you add a superstar, dynamic player in defense, Kayvon Thibodeaux from Oregon. All right, so with the third overall pick, we have the Houston Texans. This is a franchise that's very much in limbo. You know, we're not sure again at this point of the recording of the video who is going to be the head coach, who's going to be in the various coordinator positions. So at this point, I'm going to go with one of the more safer picks in the draft. I'm going with Evan Neal, the offensive tackle from Alabama, who's been a multi-year starter in that Crimson Tide offense, you know, an offense and a college program that just churns out NFL players. I think he's someone that you plug in at right tackle initially. You have Laramie Tunsil at left tackle, and then you have Neal at right tackle. Tunsil's around for at least 2 more years under contract, so then maybe Evan Neal after that could move over to the left tackle position. However, look, you get 2 cornerstones on your offensive line, and that's what any offense would love to have. And look, Davis Mills at quarterback played pretty solid, so I think that there's definitely some reason for a little bit of optimism, at least in Houston, and you never know what could happen with Deshaun Watson. If he gets cleared from the charges, maybe you can get a boatload of draft picks and also replenish your roster in other ways there. Alrighty, now we have the Jets at number 4, and this is going to be their first of 2 picks in the top 10. With this pick here, I am going to totally rebuild their offensive line. I'm going to go with the very talented offensive tackle from NC State, and that is Ikem Ekwonu. Now, here's the thing for me. I like Ekwonu as coming in for the Jets to be their left tackle. Now, of course, Jets fans and whoever's going to say, well, we have Mekhi Becton. I actually see Mekhi Becton maybe better suited at that right tackle, especially now coming off a very nasty injury. He may not have that same elite athleticism as before, even though he's still very young. However, look, you have Ekwonu at left tackle. Now you have at right tackle, you have Becton. They also have Elijah Vera Tucker, who they drafted, and they can maybe look to replenish the rest of their offensive line. They have a bunch of money, cap space in free agency, also a ton of draft picks. So I really think that they got to protect Zach Wilson. That's something that he got basically nothing of last year. So Ikem Ekwonu, franchise left tackle for the New York Jets. And with the 5th pick, it is the New York Football Giants. And like their counterparts in New York, they also have 2 picks in the top 10. Now, with this pick here, the Giants could go in a lot of different directions. They have just hired Brian Daboll, so you're thinking maybe offensive line help to help Daniel Jones. At this point, I'm not really seeing it. So here's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go with edge rusher for them. I'm going to go with George Karlaftis from Purdue. I think they really need help on the defensive side. After watching a couple of Giants games this year, they were not able to get after the quarterback at all. And I actually think they have some pretty solid players in the secondary too who'd be able to exploit quarterbacks getting rushed and maybe being forced into mistakes. You have James Bradbury, Adoree Jackson, Xavier McKinney, Jabril Peppers. So these are some pretty solid players in the secondary. So if you add a Karlaftis, 2 guys like Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, Azeez Ojulari, who had a really solid rookie year, I think that could be the makings of a pretty solid defensive front right there. Then that allows the secondary guys to make some plays. Then you maybe give Daniel Jones more possessions or better field position, so on and so forth. But I'm going to go with Karlaftis here. He's played 26 games in college. He's had a bunch of tackles for loss, pretty solid sack numbers, and kind of like the only guy who is a threat on that defense. So he garnered a lot of attention. But Karlaftis to the Giants at number 5. So at number 6 overall, it is the Carolina Panthers, who are sticking with Matt Rule for this season. So it'll be really interesting to see what the Panthers do at quarterback. I'm not going to go quarterback here because I actually think that Matt Rule, he knows he's on the hot seat. I'm not too sure about their GM, but he's probably as well. So if I'm the Carolina Panthers, maybe I'm acquiring a veteran quarterback to compete with Sam Darnold, someone who could maybe really get them some wins so they can keep their job. But at this point here, I think things actually work out pretty well for the Panthers because I'm going to take arguably the best, most talented player in the draft, and that is Kyle Hamilton, the safety from Notre Dame. Although safety is maybe not the highest value position at this point, but he is the best guy. And they actually need players in the secondary. So I think, they have some really solid cornerbacks in the secondary, but their safeties are just very meh. I think Jeremy Chin is someone who could develop, but you get the most talented player, arguably in the draft, at number 6 overall. Plug him in. He's going to make plays. In 3 years in college, he had 8 interceptions, just all over the field, always around the ball. They need guys who can do that. And now they're playing in a division that maybe doesn't have Tom Brady. No more Drew Brees. What's going to happen? Matt Ryan, who's prone to mistakes. If you can have a division where you have ball hawk guys who can give your offensive more chances, I really like it for the Panthers. This is a perfect fit, in my opinion. Kyle Hamilton, safety Notre Dame, to the Panthers at number 6 overall. The New York Giants are back on the clock at number 7 overall. They went with Karlaftis a couple picks ago to really help bolster their defensive line. Here, I'm actually going to have them bolster their offensive line, and it's going to be kind of like Kyle Hamilton. It's going to be a position that not a lot of people necessarily think is something that you should take this high, but I'm going to go the center out of Iowa. That's Tyler Linderbaum. He's going to be someone who, along with Daniel Jones, could very well be the centerpiece of this offense. Brian Daboll is going to want a guy who can be right there smack in the middle, helping to call the protections, things of that nature, someone who can come in immediately and have a huge impact on that line that really needs some help, really needs some guidance. I could see Linderbaum coming in and having a Creed Humphrey type impact like he did with the Chiefs as a rookie, and I think this is a slam dunk pick for the Giants, someone who is, regardless of whatever happens with Daniel Jones, whether they decide to move on from him, Linderbaum's a guy who's going to be a New York Giant for 15 years. You keep him in the middle, and he's someone, and that's a position you don't have to think about. He's going to be one of the best guys in the league. Mark it down. There we go. Linderbaum to the Giants at 7. So at number 8, we have the Atlanta Falcons. They're a really interesting team. they're in some ways you could see that maybe they need to completely rebuild because, they went 7-10. Matt Ryan is very much an aging quarterback. But if you think about it in their division, New Orleans, now Sean Payton's out, so who knows what they're going to look like. Their cap situation is dreadful. The Panthers are in a little bit of limbo too, who are not that great. And then who knows what's going to happen with Tampa Bay. So if Tom Brady's going to retire, maybe he does. And then they also have some big-time free agents. So maybe low-key the Falcons actually might be able to win the division next year if some things go their way. However, at this point, if I'm the Falcons, I'm still taking the best player available. They are not the type of team who needs to draft for need right now. So I'm going to go with Derek Stingley Jr., the cornerback out of LSU. You pair him with A.J. Terrell, who many thought at the time that he was very much a reach in the first round. But look, Terrell's been playing amazing football. You add in Stingley Jr., and maybe there's quarterbacks who just can't throw on the Falcons if they can add in maybe a pass rusher. So I think this is a slam dunk pick because you get a really talented guy who I think in a lot of years could easily be a top 5 pick. You get him at 8 right here. Really talented player. Pair him with Terrell, and then defensive backs, you're looking real good. So the Denver Broncos sit at number 9, and for me, it's about time that we have the first quarterback go off the board. It's going to be Kenny Pickett, the quarterback from Pitt, someone who I think just has so much untapped potential, someone who can really come into the league and take over. However, I think he's going to need some time to sit and learn, and I'm going to stick by my prediction that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the quarterback for the Denver Broncos starting next year. I think maybe with Denver, he gets traded there. Maybe they sign him, restructure his deal so it's like a 2-year deal. You draft Pickett, let him sit. Jimmy Garoppolo handled the Trey Lance situation incredibly well. I think he'll do the same thing in Denver. He gives Hackett someone who can win him some games, so it's not like, oh my God, why did we move on from Vic Fangio? But then you also have that future in Pickett. Pickett, super mobile, great arm, smart guy. I think he can make a lot of plays, especially because the Broncos just have so many young weapons there. So I think this is a slam dunk pick. He falls right into your lap. You don't have to trade up and give up a bunch of future picks. Maybe you give like your late second round pick to the 49ers for Jimmy G. Then you have Pickett, and suddenly your quarterback room goes from Bridgewater and Locke to Pickett and Garoppolo, and then you're feeling really good about yourself in that new Nathaniel Hackett offense. Love this pick for Denver. So rounding out the top 10 for this mock draft, it's going to be the New York Jets once again. And this is going to be an interesting pick here because they went Ikem Ekwonu earlier, so I think they really bolstered their offensive line. Now, with this pick here, I am going to draft their new defensive leader. That's going to be Devin Lloyd, the linebacker out of Utah. Now, Jets fans might be like, oh, we have CJ Mosley and blah, blah, blah. Devin Lloyd is someone who reminds me so much of Fred Warner, who Robert Saleh coached and helped develop into maybe a top 3 middle linebacker in the league. I think Devin Lloyd becomes his Fred Warner. When Saleh was with the 49ers, and you can see, obviously, 49er fan, when Saleh was with the 49ers, he would consistently say how important Fred Warner was to the defense. He's the one guy that they could not lose. He called the plays, and I think Devin Lloyd is very much going to be in that same conversation. I believe they're going to be able to coach him in the Senior Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, but I think someone who comes in, becomes the immediate leader of the defense. Look, they have their franchise quarterback. They have a couple of top picks on the offensive line. Now you get your vocal leader on defense. I think with Carl Lawson coming back from injury, this Jets defense, and it needs to get a lot better. But look, they also have a bunch of cap space. Add some more guys on defense, and suddenly this Jets team could be a team to maybe watch out for. Because in my opinion, also with some better blocking, I think Zach Wilson could make a huge leap in year 2. But at this pick here, number 10 overall, Devin Lloyd, you get the leader of your defense, the Fred Warner, if you will, of your defense for Robert Saleh, and you go from there, and the Jets still have a bunch of picks. Alrighty guys, so that is going to do it for my top 10 NFL mock draft. Let me know what you guys think. I had a lot of fun kind of doing a little bit of research for this. Honestly, I'm still more focused on the playoffs and what have you because the 49ers are going to be playing on Sunday. However, Really looking forward to maybe doing this in the future. Let me know what you guys think in terms of what my picks were. Did they make sense? Do you disagree with them? Let me know what would be your top 10 prediction. Overall, there's still a lot of moving parts, and of course, before the draft, there is going to be free agency. But I just wanted to throw out a mock draft for the top 10 picks, get my guys out there, who I think are some really good guys who are going to be coming into the league. And let me know what you think. And as always, the butt counts, and I'm going to catch you on the flip side.